Hi and welcome to Buff and Blend Tutorials. I'm Nicola, founder of Buff and Blend. In this tutorial, I'll be giving you a step-by-step guide along with the best industry tips and tricks to creating this classic black smoky eye. So get the notepad ready and let's get straight into the tutorial. So I always like to start off with the brows first. I find this gives a nice frame to the eyes, so when you go to do your eyeshadow application, you can figure out the shape that best suits the face. So the brows are really a personal preference which way you do them, and your clients, obviously if you're doing it on clients, they'll have their own certain way and they will ask you to do it a certain way. But the way I like to do it with these dramatic dark smoky eyes, I like to keep brows nice and polished but also natural at the same time. So I'm just using the M.I.A spiked brow pencil here, and I'm just making a tiny line underneath just to shape out the brow, and then I'm flicking the pencil through the hairs in hair-like strokes. This gives a more natural effect, which I find to be more flattering with these really dark smoky eyes. So to define the eyebrow, I'm going to give it a more polished shape by using the M.I.A NC30 Cover Concealer, and I'm using the BB26 brush, but it will soon be released in 2018. So I'm just carving out the underside of the brow, going very lightly with the brush and just taking my time to just really carve it out, nice polished defined line. Taking the concealer then onto the eyelid, I like to make sure that there's no skin poking through and that we have a nice even base and a good coverage of the concealer over the lid. This is going to make sure that our eyeshadow stays really in true to colour and really intense. So I'm taking the concealer underneath the eye as well. We want this eye look to be a continuous colour all the way around with no seams or edges. We don't want to see where the eyeshadow starts and finishes, so this is going to be wrapped right around the eye. So after applying all the concealer to the lid, I like to go in with the new Skin Focus sponge, and then I'm going to just gently pat the eyelid to get rid of any excess concealer and to buff away any edges of the concealer. So I'm going in with the BB24. This is a large fluffy blend brush. This is a must-have in your makeup kit. I'm going to go in then with the M.I.A Mineralized Skin Finish in Dark Tan. This is actually a bronzer, but I'm going to use this as our first transition shade. I'll be using this on the skin later on to bronze up the skin, so I like to tie the colours of the eyes in with the skin just to make everything nice and uniform. The best way to apply transition shades is to hold your brush towards the very end of the handle. This makes sure there's not too much pressure going onto the eyelid, but it also gives a nice even blend. The key to achieving that perfect blend is to use very light pressure on your brush and to use large circular movements. The transition shade can be as dark or as light as you like. I like to go in with 3 layers as a rule, just to get that nice, rich, intense colour. So I've taken the BB22, this is a really soft tapered blending brush, and I'm going to wrap the same bronzer colour right around the edge of the eye and take it underneath as well. This is going to connect the top with the bottom without any seams or edges. When I have hardly anything left on the brush, I like to take it around the eye just to blend out those edges once again. Again, keep the pressure really light, make sure that blend is really soft. I always keep my BB24 handy, so after each layer I apply, I go back in with the BB24 just to blend any edges again. So the palette that I'm going to be using is the Morphe 350 palette. This is one of my favourite warm tone eyeshadow palettes, and the colour I'm going to take here is this really rich warm brown. We're going to take this on the BB22 brush. This brush is perfect for in the socket for using crease work, and I'm using really small, tiny circular movements, and again, very light with the pressure. So I'm following the eyeball shape and going from the inside corner to the outside corner in really small circular movements. By applying the eyeshadow in these really tiny circular movements, you're going to place the colour exactly where you need it, and you're also going to build up the intensity of the colour. So when we get to the edge of the eye, I like to stop the eyeshadow at the very corner of the eye and just bend back and forth really soft. We don't want to go past the eye, so we want to keep this shape nice and round. For this look, I want the crease colour to be really rich and intense, so I'm going to go in with 3 layers. This is the second layer here. Same movement again, each time you're just building up the colour, layering and layering. Again, going back with the BB24 just to blend all the edges again. Every time I layer an eyeshadow, I go back in with the BB24. This is just going to keep the blend nice and even and flawless. So to connect the same colour on the bottom, we're going to use the BB14 brush. This is a short blending brush. Using really soft sweeping movements, I'm going to take from the edge of the eye to the inside corner, and again layer the colour to get the intensity that we have on the crease. So to get that really intense smoky eye look, we're going to take this shadow quite low, and I like to feel for the eyeball underneath, and where the eyeball ends in the eye socket, that's where I'll finish this transition shade. And again, every layer that I add, I go back in and blend it all out again. And taking black kohl pencil. This one is my favourite. This is the Rimmel waterproof kohl Kajal pencil. I like to put this in the waterline from the outside to the inside. Then I smudge this pencil right through the lower lashes to make sure there's no skin peeking through. This eyeliner sets really quickly, so if you want to smudge it, you have to be quick. So apply your liner, and then I'm going in with the BB20, and I'm going to smudge that liner out nice and soft. The BB20 is a flat definer brush, so it gets right underneath those lashes to help you smudge the liner out really well. And on my BB02, this is a pointed bullet brush. I'm taking a tiny bit of black. My favourite black is the Urban Decay Blackout Shadow. This has a bit of fall down, so be very careful when you are using this. And I like to take the black on the very tip of this brush. I like to sweep it through the lash line just to set that black kohl pencil. So to apply the black gel liner to the eye as a base, I'm using my favourite BB18. This is a short eyeshadow brush. This is perfect for creams, liquids, gels, and it's also my favourite brush for cutting the crease for eyeshadow looks. So today I'm using this one for applying the gel liner to the lid. I'm not going up to the crease, I'm just going below the crease line. And as I'm applying it, I'm blending it, and I'm going to set it then with the Urban Decay black eyeshadow. So taking this brown shade from the palette, I'm going to mix this with our black eyeshadow and taking it on the BB14 again. This is a really short blending brush. I'm going to use this to blur the edges between the transition shades and the liner. This is the perfect brush to blend those edges. You don't want a big brush because the black will go absolutely everywhere, so this keeps the colour nice and contained, and because it has a tapered shape to a point, it basically does the work for you here. So I'm keeping the brush really close to where we finished off placing the gel liner. And as we blend, you might find that the colour blends away and you get patchiness. So keep reapplying the black mixed with the brown colour from the Morphe palette in the same place that we put the black liner. So keep reapplying the black mixed with the brown until you're happy with the fade. Back in with our BB22 taper blending brush, I'm using the warm brown from the Morphe palette that we used earlier, and I'm just lightly blending those edges. Every time you apply a colour, you take the colour before that to blend. So before we applied the black shadow, we use this transition shade. So I'm going to go back in and blur those edges again with this warm brown. And as you see, it's starting to blend out nicely. The more colour we apply and the softly we blend, the better it will look. The lashes I've applied are the Look Silk lashes in Bad Attitude. These are full all the way around and they have nice spiky ends, so it gives a nice sort of round flare to the eye, but also a bit of drama. And I'm applying this with the Duo eyelash glue in the dark tone. I find when applying lashes with a thicker band like these ones, it's best to wait nearly a minute on the glue to go tacky before you apply it to the eye. So because the Urban Decay shadow has a bit of fall down, make sure you clean up underneath the eyes. We don't want any black specks of eyeshadow underneath to ruin our foundation. So when the lashes are completely dried, I like to give them a wiggle right into the lash base just to make sure they're nice and secure. And then I'm going in with the BB20, the flat definer brush, and I'm going to press the black shadow onto the lash line to cover any glue that we can see. So I'm applying a primer to the skin, and this is the BB03 brush, and I'm using the MAC Strobe Cream in the shade Gold Light. This has a gold reflect to it, and it's going to give the skin nice moisture but also luminosity. So one of my favourite foundations to use is the Makeup Forever Stick Foundation. This gives a great coverage to the skin but also keeps it looking fresh and hydrated. I just apply this straight from the stick. If you're using it on clients, make sure you do sanitize the stick afterwards. I'm just going to go ahead and buff that in with the BB03. If you find that it doesn't move as well, just give it a quick spritz of Fix Plus here like I've done, and it'll move better under the brush. This brush is a duo fibre brush, so it's synthetic. The bristles around the edge do most of the work for you, so all you have to do is really light circular movements and it'll buff it right into the skin. One of my all-time favourite concealers is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. This shade is Custard. It's nearly the same shade as the foundation that we've used. And this NARS concealer is going to add some coverage underneath the eye and colour correct. And then I'm going to go in with the Urban Decay Weightless Concealer to brighten underneath the eye. It's a shade lighter. So where I want to highlight, I'm applying the lightest concealer, and then I'm going to blend it out with the Skin Focus sponge. I prefer to use a sponge because it doesn't move the foundation underneath the concealer, and it just gives a flawless even blend. When the concealer is all blended, I like to go over with the sponge all over the skin just to smooth out and even the foundation. So to set the skin, I'm using the MAC Studio Fix powder with our large BB07 brush. This is a nice fluffy brush. It's just going to give you a little bit of coverage where you need it, and it's also going to stop any shine from coming through. To set underneath the eyes, I'm using a mineralized skin finish from M.I.A in a shade Light, and I'm using my BB24 just to really press it into the darkest points underneath the eyes. Very lightly just dust it on. With the eyeshadow being very dark, we don't want underneath the eyes to look like they're really tired, so that's why I'm using another powder just to brighten up underneath the eye. I'm also going to place the same powder just on the places I want to brighten up, so the chin and around the nose area. So to bronze up the skin and give it a bit of warmth, I'm using my lovely fluffy BB07 brush, and I'm using the same transition shade we used in the eyes, and this is the bronzer from M.I.A. So anywhere the sun would naturally hit, the high points of the face, the temple, the forehead, the tip of the nose and the chin, that's where I'm going to apply this bronzer. I'm also going to contour lightly with this bronzer shade. This shade is not too orange. You don't want a bronzer that's orange tone to contour with. So I'm just going to very lightly just hit underneath the cheekbones. So I want a very natural looking blush, so I'm just going to apply it to the apple of the cheek with a large fluffy brush. This is the BB07 that we've used for powdering and bronzer, and I'm going to use it again for blush. So I like to just get the centre of the cheeks and towards the temple then. So to highlight the skin, I love to use my BB24. This is perfect for applying highlight to the cheekbones. I want to go for a more natural highlighted look instead of the real in your face highlights, so I'm going to use really small movements. I'm just going to work a couple of layers of this highlighter into the highest points where the light will hit the skin. So we're going to finish off underneath the eyes. We're going back with our BB22 blending brush, and I'm taking the light warm shade, the first shade we used from the Morphe palette, and I'm just going to blend out that under eye. I'm slowly adding more colour as I go, and I'm taking it just underneath the socket of the eye. So by taking this shadow down underneath, it's going to add a lovely depth to underneath the eyes. I'm going back in with my BB02 bullet brush, and I'm taking a little bit of black shadow mixed with the brown from the Morphe palette, and I'm just smudging it through the lash line and just to make everything seamless and soft and blended. I like to tie in the colours and the textures on the skin, so I'm using the same highlight that we use on the cheekbones, and I'm going to put this on a BB14 brush and apply it to the inner corners of the eye and make the eyes look really bright. I just decided then to put some on the arch of the brow just to lift the eye a small bit. I want to keep the lips quite pared back because the eye is so dramatic. I don't want it to be in competition with the lips. So I'm using a very light shade of lip liner, and this is a nude from M.I.A called Oak. It's perfect if you want that really barely there lip line, but it also gives a nice fullness to the lip. So just to give the lip a nice wash of colour, I'm applying with my finger. This is going to give it a really light coverage, and then I'm going to go ahead and pop a bit of a gloss just to give it a bit of plumpness. So to blend the lashes in with the natural lashes, I like to go in with black mascara just to kind of comb them through and make sure they sit together nicely. And don't forget to add a coat of mascara to the bottom lashes just to give extra depth underneath. And here is the finished look. This look would suit any colour skin, any face shape, any eye shape. It's just an all-round classic makeup look. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that you picked up some new tips and tricks, and I hope to see you in our next tutorial.